Hey you guys, welcome back. We've got an amazing video to show you today. I was really excited that this worked out. I tried this very hard dungeon, this Leprechaun event we had going on right now, with a whole bunch of teams and didn't have that great of success. I thought about it for a while and thought, it'd be really fun to try out this team with the Furnace and Dagron and look at just boosting health and trying to get through it and see if it was possible. And we're going to see in the rest of this video what it took, how long it took, and just what went into to winning with a two-person team on this very hard dungeon. Now, first of all, talking about this dungeon a little bit, we've got a midway boss we're going to see here on the middle of the 5 floors we've got for this one, and then Tsumi at the end, and it's a full-fledged Tsumi, right? Because you've got Savage Fury. The more damage you do to him, you're going to boost his damage really high. He's got all of the skills, the normal skills that a regular Tsumi would have, just a ton of health and really hard to take out. On top of that, you can't bring a friend into this dungeon, so there's no, bringing in someone like King Yorick to do a big damage boost. And, it's really hard to bring in someone even like Bramble, because these guys are going to do double damage against nature-based characters. So any kind of way to finish him off quickly is going to be rough. So you're going to have to be in there for the long run, and that's why I ended up going with this team. You really need like a superhuman team to get through. Now, the biggest, most important thing about this team is that you've got Dagron's last skill. You've got to have Dagron fully ascended to make it through. That Healing Hands, I think it's changed over. They're calling it like Dwarven EMT, something like that now. It boosts the permanent health by like 20% at the level I've got it right now. Somewhere 19-20%. And it's permanent and it stacks. So every time you see that go up, you're going to see, especially if you could pause the screen, you're going to see how much their health increases every time you use it. And at first, it's about 1,000. They're about 5,000 health characters, something like that. So 20%, you're getting about 1,000 increased health. Now, after it keeps stacking, though, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, I was having health increases of like 50,000. I got down at the end of this level. You're going to see the health of these characters is up to 250,000 each. It's crazy. And you might say, well, why not just do that with a bigger party? And here's the trouble. It's exponential growth using that skill. 20% every time, added up. But it takes a really long time to get up to those kind of numbers. And so if you do that with 4 people, usually you get taken out before you can get to that point. There's just too much damage here. Now, the other big thing I would say, you're trying to delay these first 2 floors as long as possible. So you'll see me using that under pressure skill over and over again, even when he has no pressure built up. Basically, I'd like to just skip the turn, but that's not an option. So you do it with low pressure, and you're doing almost no damage. You see about 100 damage each time. Really, really low. You can stick in there. If you keep 2 of those guys going, if you keep 2 of those Squinch-type characters with the helmet on, those 2, they've got leech. And so if you can spread your attacks between 2 of them, they will leech and you can go an indefinite amount of time. So if you use this party, if you have got a fully ascended Dagron, you only have to have the first ascension for the Furnace. You don't have to have his second ascension. So I had it here. It helps out a little bit, but really I just saved it up generally for the Tsumi at the end. You can keep most of his skills at bay that way, but it's not required. You need to have the taunt, but you don't need to have combustion. All right, so going through here, again, you delay as much as possible, and you'll see I stick to this floor for a long time. This was the first time I used this party, so I didn't do a bunch of runs and then go through. This was the first time I used them, and so I was still learning this as well, having those 2 Squinch-type characters to bounce back and forth so their leech will keep up. You might have seen on the first floor, I got down to 1, and he was able to go for a while, but not as long as I wanted to. Now, another thing, I over-prepared on the health a bit, because it takes a long time to go through this strategy. The total dungeon took me somewhere just over an hour. It takes a long time to build up, especially with 2 characters. You're doing almost no damage. I mean, the Furnace does very, very little damage. And that helps out in these early levels. You see, he's almost dead and then just about a full heal. But it takes so long, you can imagine if you did it with 4 characters, if you were even able to survive the first section, which you're probably not going to be able to, because, man, that poison damage does a ton. I'd done a bunch of these health boosts up on Dagron, and he got hit with that toxic spittle, it does like 2.5 grand just the poison tick each end of the turn. So it's huge. You see it right there, 2,400 damage, and that's the poison. It's not scaling with his health. That's just the regular damage for that poison attack. Just a ton of damage. And so you've got to have these characters at ridiculously high health before you start going and taking even higher damage up at those bosses. You'll see further on, Tasumi ends up dealing out ridiculous amounts as his health gets lower. And with this team, since we're not able to do a lot of damage, you do have to suffer every one of those. But once your health gets high enough, it's barely even touching you. There's, with 250,000 health, you could tank pretty much this whole level and not have to do another heal. So that was a lot of fun. I've used this type of tactic previously. I think there was another one did a 3-star with, and that one I brought in Sir William, and I had a 4-person team. It worked out really well. I actually think it's harder to use a 4-person team for this level, and it would be really hard to get that 3-star, without in other ways. It'd be interesting to see if some of the rest of you guys, if you found some ways to get to the 3-star level, especially now that the potion glitch has been taken away. It's much more challenging. And I think in many ways that's a good thing. That's good. You don't want to have to go through these with just some kind of glitch to get through it. But the challenge is really, really high. If you don't have a fully ascended Dagron, that's also going to make this level really, really challenging. So you see this we stay on this level for a long time. I ended up speeding this up. I think it's ×4 for the speed. You can imagine how long this took the first time through. And I didn't want to try to, either talk through. Even, I think at this speed, it took away the audio. It would have just been like a high-pitched squeal. And so we're going through here, just working our way down, alternating between those guys, getting the health up really high. At this point, we've already spent like 20 minutes maybe in this dungeon. And so you don't want to get to the next... to that midway boss. You're going to fight a kind of a chief nub kind of a character, and you don't want to find out that you did one or too few of these heals to boost up your health, and so there's a little bit of overkill. But now when I start using his regular attack, that means I'm ready to go. I think I've got enough health to continue on in the level. So from that point on, I really didn't even need to do the taunt anymore. Periodically I used the taunt just to do the damage boost. And then I guess for this guy, because I still wasn't sure, when he does his special attack, when that Nub, doesn't have Nub's regular skills here, when he does his special attack, it can do a lot of damage. And our tank, our Furnace character, he can take a lot more damage for a couple reasons. Some of these bosses do just phenomenal damage. I think we've got some stuff here, over 20,000 damage from a hit when we get back to Tasumi. Generally, under any circumstance, no other character could take that, but the Furnace can't have more than 20% of his health taken out in one turn. And I guess that would be the other benefit to having him fully ascended. I think that's on his final skill. Now, it's not going to matter for our team because his health gets to be so high, it just doesn't matter. But for early parts of the game as well, having that Abs of Steel trait can really help out. So you see we're doing the regular, we're trying to wear him down with the fire. Even once we get serious and we've got plenty of health to continue, it's still just a slugfest to get through this thing. The Nub character is immune to fire, or to burn, which doesn't make a lot of sense. It'd be great if we could just take him down normally. I wasn't sure when I got to this point if we'd even be able to take him down. He's got a regeneration skill, he just popped it on right there. And so our only other way to deal with that, and it turned out, I don't think this was going to be required. I think you can still burn him down because he heals for about 1,000 health every turn when that skill's on. And you can do, with this team, somewhere close to 1,000 health in regular attack, maybe like 800. So during the turns that's up, you're not quite keeping up, but you're not falling behind too far. He's not getting up to full health. Now, because we had the Furnace fully ascended, we could use Combustion, and once I started doing that, it kept him at bay. He didn't get to use Regeneration anymore. And so, again, that really does help out. I think you could still finish him off without it. Definitely be worth the try, trying to do it that way. So there, threw on Combustion. He doesn't have a whole lot of health left anyway. I was surprised how well Combustion worked, both with Nub and Tasumi. You'll see it here in a little bit. The double chop still has a cooldown that's fast enough you can use it even after combustion has been used. I think it's normally just a 4-turn cooldown, but he wasn't able to use any other skills. No soul shred, no spreading panic, nothing else. So here we get these bigger groups. I always have a little bit more fear. You can see we've got, even with as much health as we have, we're still down a bit. And I think even here we're probably, let's see, yeah, it's too fast I think in the fast version to see it, but you could pause your screen and check out those health values. Generally, if it's not a critical hit, if it's not a critical heal, then the health that you see coming up there, it's about 90-something% of their health. So that gives you a good indication of where their health currently sits. The other thing I would say, when you're in this battle, you've got to be careful. There's someone that can, the little mushroom dude can silence you. The other girl, the healer there, is going to put regeneration on everybody. So you got to figure out who you want to take out. But if your health is high enough, it doesn't matter too much. You just try to get that fire, that burn damage up on everybody. And here at this point, we don't need to have the taunt up. We've got so much health. We ended this battle with 250,000 each. I always led with Dagron in terms of keeping his health higher. And at some point, I'm not sure how the game mechanics work exactly, but they started, even with no taunt, attacking the furnace. They may have something in there in the logic so that they often attack the lowest health character. And if the furnace becomes the lowest health character, he's going to take most of the hits, even if taunt isn't up. And that's a benefit. It's still nice to have them attacking him. They're going to do a lot less damage. So potentially, if you're having trouble in those first 2 levels, try healing up Dagron so his health is higher than the furnace early on, because you're going to have a turn where you're missing the taunt every time. Once every cycle for that taunt, there's going to be one turn that he doesn't have it up. So if you can boost up Dagron's health above your tank early on, you might not take any hits at all. Just keep doing that. Don't let your tank get up above, because it was really challenging. You saw the health get really low. You could use those potions a little bit earlier in the process if you had to. I think I used one potion on the tank himself to get that taunt back up, and you wouldn't necessarily have to do that if you were able to boost up Dagron's health ahead of time. So here you see we're still just finishing off Tasumi, and it is a long, long battle. And I was still worried if he ever got around to doing something with spreading panic, and he focused on one character, those damage numbers can get incredibly high. Especially if he's using on Dagron, that lower defense, that gets fear spread onto him. If he hits all 3 times, his damage or his health is so low, he's got that Savage Fury. Some of the crit numbers, they don't really scale the way that you'd expect them to. Like we did a video on that a long time ago, what you'd expect the damage to scale up to, but you don't actually see it that way. So I was still a little worried. I ended up going back with the taunt. At most you're going to lose 20% there, so that part was really helping out. But we didn't get anywhere near that, and it turned out that it was fine. I could have left the taunt off, no issue. So wearing him down, we're going to get right here near the end and finish him off. There's only a few seconds left. It's going to go quickly. So that was it for doing this. Thanks again for watching. I hope it helped out, and I hope you enjoyed. We'll see everyone soon, and thanks again. If you liked this, then you're going to love what we have coming out next. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mobile gaming videos, or check out the rest of the channel for more tips and tricks. If you don't have this game yet, feel free to download it from the sponsored link in the video description below. These downloads help to support the channel and help us to continue to put out more great videos. Thanks again for all your support, and come back soon as we continue our quest, seeking every possible advantage.